The first set of college football playoff rankings for the 2025 season have been released, and well, they're better than I expected, and they're worse than I expected. What's cooking? Welcome back into another edition of Now We Can Talk Like Fans on ESPN Louisville Plus. My name is Justin Sovero, and if you haven't already, join us here on the channel. Smash the like button, hit the subscribe button on the video. Of course, we're talking all things cards, cats, bourbon, and bluegrass. And of course, today we have to talk about the latest rankings, or the first edition of the rankings of the college football playoff. And well, if you're a Louisville fan, or if you're in the area, Louisville, Kentucky, Indiana, it's pretty good for 2 out of 3 teams. Sorry, Cats fans, not ranked in this edition. I don't think anybody expected them to be, obviously. They're on the verge of figuring out what new coach that they can get. Can they even get a new coach? The coaching carousel is filled with vacancies, and I'm not sure if Pawpaw Mitch wants to join that latest list and try to compete against those teams. But that's not important right now. We're talking about the teams that are competing, that are looking to potentially add the college football playoff trophy to their shelf. And right now, for the state of Kentucky and the state of Indiana, 2 teams have that possibility. Obviously, the best possibility, and potentially might be the best team in the nation, is somehow IU. And then we look over at Louisville, and we can talk about Indiana down the line. We can talk a little bit about who should be first, who should be second. But there's a lot more going on when it comes to the college football playoff rankings that we can talk about. Louisville landed and found themselves at solid number 15, which, as a Louisville fan, I'll be honest, I was expecting a lot worse. I was expecting to be a little bit closer to maybe the 20-ish range. But then I really sit down and I look at the rankings, and I'm trying not to be the moany, whiny Louisville fan. That's always why us. Why do we always get urinated on? Why are we so far down? And let's just take it into the college football playoff rankings as we have it here. You can see them. If you haven't seen them already, I don't know what rock you're hiding under or where you've been living. But anyway, Ohio State and Indiana, we could argue there about whether Indiana really deserves the top spot, but that's not what we're doing today. Followed up by, of course, the ACC or the SEC and all those teams there, though the ACC will be down below. And of course, you got BYU, and then it gets a little bit murky once you get there around that 8 through 15 slot with the teams that are listed in there. Texas Tech did blow off Utah, who have somehow found their way above Louisville. And then, of course, we have to talk about one team from South Bend, Indiana, and Notre Dame that somehow finds themselves seated comfortably in the top 10, despite getting beaten down pretty early in the season. 2 games back-to-back to start the season, getting beaten at Miami to start the year, and then, of course, following that up with a smackdown by the darlings of the SEC for this year, Texas A&M. And for all intents and purposes, it felt like at that time that it was over, that it was done, that we would see no more of the bums from South Bend. Is what I'll put it at. But no, of course not. The powers that be, the guys up at ESPN, everybody else, where the people that have control, will not go without seeing their darlings, the Fighting Irish, somehow making the playoff, even though they've done nothing to warrant it this season. Outside of, I guess they beat USC. But of course, we're going to talk about some of the situations with USC and maybe another team, another rival of the Wildcats that somehow slipped in with 3 losses at the end of those rankings as well. But I want to go ahead and play this sound for you from The Take with Andy Sweeney. Pat Forty joined the show, and he talked about the situation with the rankings and, of course, Notre Dame and how they got in over Louisville.
I do think that they undervalued, I think in particular, Virginia and Louisville at the expense of Notre Dame. For Notre Dame to be number 10 with a win over a pretty good USC team and nothing else, and to have more losses than Louisville and Virginia, and specifically head-to-head to have a loss at Miami when Louisville has a win at Miami. Louisville has a better record, a better result against the common opponent, and is 5 spots lower. I don't get that.
And that's kind of where I come in with it. It's frustrating, and as much as I want to be angry and yell and scream about Notre Dame and every metric that you can use for this season tells me that there's no chance that Notre Dame should be above placement in Louisville than where they are. And of course they are, and of course they get to be ushered to the front of the line. And that's kind of really what I want to talk about in this video. It's not as much about the disrespect of the ACC. It's not as much about the disrespect of Louisville. If I'm going to be honest, I'm a pretty fair fan when it comes to Louisville. If you've watched the Louisville Cardinals play the last few weeks, would I say outside of the dominating, impressive performance, maybe not dominating, but impressive performance that they put on at Miami, who unfortunately saw themselves lose again to SMU and fall down the rankings, didn't really help Louisville and boost a little bit of their resume there. At the same time, my issue, when it really comes down to it, is the favoritism. And this I feel like this unknown metric, this invisible metric that exists, that we all know exists, but it does exist. And like I said, while Louisville has not looked dominant in some of their performances, while Louisville, going out and playing Virginia Tech and looking frustrating, looking like they were going to lose to a 3-5 team. If you want to use eye test, I can understand that. I can understand why you push Louisville a little bit down. But I don't understand and I don't believe that you can push Louisville down when every metric, when it comes to the opponents you've beaten, your resume, all of that stuff, you can't put Louisville behind Notre Dame. Now, this invisible metric that I'm talking about, Jared Stillman's talked about it before. There's 2 parts. There's the whole blue blood conference thing. There's the favoritism of the Big Ten and the SEC and little old Notre Dame that everybody just loves. They love their history. They love their past. They want to usher. How could we have a college football playoff? How could we have a national title game without a representative from the SEC or little old Notre Dame playing in that game? And that's where I have a little bit of my issue. Not only that, but you also see people working behind the scenes to create these fake narratives or these fake boosts to these resumes. We want to talk about, you want to look at little old Tennessee. That's what I was hinting at. The rival of the Wildcats, Tennessee. While I don't have any natural hate for Tennessee by any means, how they are ranked at number 23. How, with 3 losses, that they were able to somehow slip right in to the top 25. And it's all of these fake metrics they use to try to boost up these SEC teams. So we want to give them a good win. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of their borderline teams, one that really shouldn't be anywhere close to the top 25, probably more in the 30, 35-ish range. We're going to put them in there. So that way we can the reason is we can just tell you, well, they beat Tennessee. Of course, they have another top 25 win. That's what they're doing. Similarly, Louisville has a top 25 win in Pittsburgh, and that is not one that's going to be used to boost anything for the Cardinals. They're not going to get any benefit of the doubt when it comes to Pittsburgh, when it comes to any of the other ACC teams. And of course, Louisville's going to get hammered for losing at home to Virginia. And at the same time, Virginia is not going to get any positivity, no boost there. The ACC team, the top team, the outside of, unfortunately for them, losing to NC State in a non-conference game, they're going to get penalized. And that ACC team, they're going to use them to block a possible second ACC team like Louisville, like Georgia Tech. And that's kind of where I had the issue. At this point, can we just be honest? If you're going to use some kind of biases, can we just come out and just be frank with it? Make it transparent. Make it the blue blood Notre Dame boost. Just go ahead and say it. Just say it at this point, because like when Reese Davis comes out and has to make his comments and try to be like, well, I could actually see Notre Dame higher up. No, you couldn't. How could you see Notre Dame up? Nowhere. If you take their resume A to resume B, there is no way you see Notre Dame above Louisville. The same thing with Texas Tech. I believe that David Hale put a similar thing out on Twitter, doing blind resume Team A, Team B. Team A was Texas Tech. Team B was Louisville. And Louisville clearly had the superior resume, but somehow Texas Tech is boosted, 7 spots above them. And it doesn't make any sense, except for it's all about dollars and cents. It's all about favoritism. So that's where I have the issue. I just think at this point, be honest about it. Say, Notre Dame gets this boost. No matter what, the SEC teams, because they're SEC, they get this boost. They may not earn it, they may not deserve it, but they're going to get a boost just for having those 3 letters next to them, having SEC. It's fraudulent, it's rigged at this point. They're going to do whatever they want to put the teams they want to see in there, the teams they think will make money, not the teams that actually have earned it or the teams that have deserved it. Let me know your thoughts and comments. Am I just a whiny baby about this? Is that what it is? Am I a whiny baby Louisville fan? Do I just need to go get my pacifier and my blanket and go to sleep until whatever happens, and then we'll see. We'll see if Louisville earns their way in. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the section down below. If you haven't already, do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon, and stay notified for all of our latest videos. I'll see you guys next time. Cards, Cats, Bourbon, Bluegrass. See ya.